it suggests reservations about malfeasance. That's what it suggests. Your explanation now about General Khan simply relates to promotion issues. How did he become a colonel, rather a general from colonel instead of being a brigadier first? That's a different reservation from the first impression that you create when you say, I had reservations about some of the things that at Crime Intelligence.
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Let me put it into perspective as I indicated on my Zondo affidavit. There were many things that took place during, and as mentioned by Mkonazi, which I support what he says about the corruption within Crime Intelligence. The possibility of being promoted from a colonel to a general, during that corrupt era, it was possible because you had people being recruited into a system. Some of them worked at supermarkets or wherever that came into the police, and at a later stage it was uncovered that they came in on the rank of a captain. So, and a prominent person's wife was also promoted to a full colonel within the system. So, when you look at it, is it possible that it can happen? Yes, it did happen. It did exist during those times. But the manner in which it was done is questionable. But there is provisions for it under deviation in terms of the SAPS regulations, where people can be a deviation from advertising a post and promoting a person. But to go and skip ranks, there are other people too as well that also went from colonels to brigadier to generals. It is that system or that what happened there, especially starting at CI, that has put us where we are today, with a system that has become so corrupt, where people are just willy-nilly promoted. Because you got to ask yourself, so I have a question. On what basis did that promotion take place? Here you have people that are sitting 20, 30 years in a particular rank with expertise, experience, hardworking, and suddenly somebody comes in and a while later they are made a general. And in that environment, now we're talking about people that have been there for 20, 30 years. And you're talking about somebody that has just come in there and he's there for a couple of years. That's my input there, sir.
All right, we'll leave it there for now, but we'll come back to it. I think you haven't answered my question. The second thing that I was going to ask you is, in your paragraph 15, what you say there, is that a reference to what you referred to earlier as 2 Brooklyn cases?
Yes.
Is that what paragraph 15 is about?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have a clarity-seeking question. Colonel, it relates to 10 and 11, if you read them together. You say IDA cooperates on a prosecution-led investigation methodology. It continues. And then you mentioned your relationship with the various generals that you investigated as part of your investigation, specifically in relation to Ms. Mukwele's case, the appointment. I just want to understand, in terms of procedure, how did you become involved in this investigation, and how were you appointed, and how was this case specifically allocated to you? How did that all happen?
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair, as I mentioned in my evidence in chief, that the investigation starts from the referral where Section 2813 preliminary investigation starts. The process of the 2813 is to authorize a preliminary investigation and designate investigators, prosecutors to that particular team. So within the 2813, I was designated on that. But I also want to clear out something so we have an understanding.
Who designated you? And then you can continue with the rest.
I was designated by the investigating director. That's the head of office.
And who is that?
Advocate Johnson.
Yes.
So in the investigating team, the word lead investigator is utilized. I'm not the lead investigator. I'm a docket carrier for that investigation. There are other investigators that assist with that. So there's not one investigator appointed to go with it. There are several, and we all have different roles, in that investigation. You go deal with that. You deal with that. You deal with that.
And sorry to interrupt you. Who is the lead investigator?
Well, when we look at the word lead investigator, because I'm the one carrying the docket.
Yeah.
So I am labeled now as the lead because most of the administration and everything I am doing. So I'm responsible for that docket.
Colonel, you have to appreciate that we're not familiar with your terminology. So in the course of answering my question, you say things that force me to interrupt you because I don't want to wait until the end and not remember. So just try to explain what's the difference between a docket carrier and a lead investigator, and give us a specific answer and a clear answer. Who in the Mkhabela case is the lead investigator?
In the team, there is a chief criminal investigator who is responsible for the criminal investigators. The criminal investigators
in this case, who is that? Maybe let's take it step by step. There's a chief criminal investigator that you've now referred to. Who is that in this case?
I didn't hear you, Commissioner. Do you need the name of the chief criminal investigator?
You've told us what you do. You're the docket carrier, so we now have a name. The docket carrier is you, but you also say you've since become the chief investigator. So you have to give us the names so that we get to understand, more than anything, just so that we understand the structure, how it works.
That's clear. That's clear, Commissioner. Chair, Chief Criminal Investigator Perumal is our chief investigator in that investigation team. So let me get back.
Is that the lead investigator, or is that different?
He's in charge of the criminal investigators in that team. So let me get back. So Commissioner Khumalo.
I want to understand. Now, when Commissioner Khumalo was engaging you, you spoke about a lead investigator and about a docket carrier.
Yes.
Now, when Commissioner Baloyi is engaging you, you are referring to a criminal what?
Chief criminal investigator.
I want to know whether this is a third functionary or whether it's one of the two you've mentioned already. Is the chief criminal investigator one of the two you mentioned earlier, or is it additional? Is it a third functionary?
You have the criminal investigators, the senior criminal investigators, and the chief criminal investigator in that investigation team. But I think just to get to Commissioner Khumalo, I look at myself as not a lead investigator. I look at myself as a docket carrier. But for the sake of it, lead, docket carrier, one and the same thing. I'll accept it as that way, sir.
Colonel, I'm talking about a specific case, and
Yes.
that is a case involving the appointment of now Brigadier Mkhabela, not the structure within IDEC. So just focus on this specific case. In this specific case, what was your role? Were you the docket carrier or were you the lead investigator in this specific case?
In this specific case, to be clear on it, Commissioner Khumalo, it's not the structure of IDEC that I'm explaining. It's in the investigation, the designations. You have a chief criminal investigator that designation is the investigation of the Mkhabela case. So in the Mkhabela matter, in terms of investigators, you have appointed investigators, criminal investigators, and a chief criminal investigator. So the chief criminal investigator is responsible for the senior criminal investigators and the investigators. So coming back to your question, that the lead investigator or the docket carrier is myself.
Yes.
But I report to all my work and everything that is done has to pass through the criminal investigator, chief criminal investigator.
And that would be Mr. Perumal.
That will be Mr.
And
Perumal.
who designated you? Was it Mr. Perumal or Advocate Johnson?
Advocate Johnson.
I must say that up to this point, you your testimony was a bit confusing on this aspect as to the investigators. Earlier, I thought you were emphasizing the fact that you were not the lead investigator and that you were just the docket carrier. But in the end, in response to Commissioner Khumalo's last question, you now say you were both the docket carrier and the lead investigator.
Yes, I know, I understand.
Basically, you are contradicting yourself. Can you give us the final word? Are you going back on what you said earlier, which was laying emphasis on you merely having been or being, because I think this is continuing, merely being a docket carrier and not the lead investigator? Are you going back on that now, and are you now saying you are both the docket carrier and lead investigator? Is that what we must understand your testimony to be?
Commissioner, I think that is the way we must understand it and take it. The lead investigator who's carrying the docket. And that's what I settled at, Commissioner.